And welcome guys to another little video on our little TD game. Now, the build that you're looking at is the first iteration through it, where we've got buttons for certain things, and there's some of my testing code for my first person. But anyway, we have our building code, which isn't much because you can still overbuild and overlap stuff. I have code that iterates and fixes this, but it's not in this series yet because we have to get to the other stuff. Now, for the other stuff, we have a few things that we have to get to. First, we have this building code. Okay, if we hit the upgrade tab right here, which is the little circle, and we hit any of these towers, we get blank stuff, nothing. Okay, but as you can see, we can sell all this stuff, and this is fine and all, but it kind of sucks, right? Because we can't do anything. But if we open up the research tab, which I haven't got any images yet, which I'm actually that's probably going to be my next phase after I get through my my iteration for like building and stuff. If we go into our research tab and we actually research both technologies, we get a little message up here, and we don't have anything. If I hit the upgrade tab now, still nothing. But if I hit it, since our research is actually done, we have nothing more to research. I don't have very many items and stuff, which, that's the way it is. But if I hit this tower now, hey, they're good looking, and we get an upgrade button here. So we can still sell, but the upgrade for this tower is now available. So we can hit it. It doesn't look like it's actually doing anything, but it actually is. It's just going through the cycles and instantiating itself over and over again, because this is just a placeholder anyway. And we just need the functions to, really work, right? So we need to get this going here. Now, in our little shop here, we've got the research panel. Okay, this is just a panel. Actually, no, this is a game object that just has a script on it. Okay, and then this one is a panel with a layout group. Nothing big. I mean, you can go any which way you want. I mean, the layout system's pretty user intuitive, so it's nothing that you guys shouldn't be able to handle anyway. Okay, this is a tab. This is your basic Unity stuff. Very boring. I'm sure you do not want me to sit here and talk about going up, down, and set anchors for like a half an hour or so. Very boring, because there's plenty of probably better tutorials than I can give you. Here's a secret. I suck at these. I like the code version, which is the old system. So don't tell Unity or anyone else, okay? Seriously. They'll probably like ban my account if I say I don't like their panel system. So anyway, game object, and then here we have our little layout stuff. Okay, this is just got basic stuff in here, right? So let's go into the code and see what's going on under the hood of this thing, because you're probably like, man, this thing's probably crazy complex. Here's a hint. It's not very complex at all. And believe it or not, this one's harder than the next version. I made it simpler, but we have to first get the bones going. That way we know how it operates under the hood, or how we can fix it. So let's get into here, and let's see if, oh, and it doesn't want to pick up. You, my friend, are very being a bad boy. Hello? Can you... There we go. Okay. It's pop-up time. Now to make your heads hurt and stuff. Okay, basic collections, generic, because we're using lists. You probably don't need this one, but I just leave it because it looks pretty. Now, we are inheriting from panel object. If you don't know this script and everything else, it's in the other video. It's very simple. It's not even that great. It's just a panel with panel open and panel close. Panel close, panel open. That's it. 2 virtual functions. You don't have to worry about this because you could just put mono behavior, I think. But the base object is this. Fixed and update. Which you do need this too. But it's in the other video too, so if you don't have it or wondering about it, please go watch the other video that says building. It's for the TD game. This isn't a series into it. But anyway, here is our enum, which you don't really need. It's just for visual purposes, and the inspector. See, doesn't have to have it. No errors, it'll compile and all that good stuff. Now we have a serializable research panel. The only reason this exists is if you have a game object under. Like remember how I had to empty and then the panel was underneath it? It's because the research script, if you turn the game object off, because this is a mono behavior, it won't leave the update running. Because here's the problem. We're research. We need this to run in every single frame. Hint, that's why we have a base class that has no virtual functions whatsoever for update. This is just for cosmetic things. If you don't want to put this, well, actually, it would make no sense for you not to have this. So you need this. Now this constant float right here, in later versions, we have like a global script, but in this version, we have a constant right here. Now, what do I mean by a global thing? Okay, let's say you have another script here. Okay, this is a script right here. And, well, here's the good thing about constants. They're not variables. They're not meant to be changed at runtime or anything like that. They just exist, okay? They exist for the sole purpose of filling out information at like a fixed point. Think of a game object in the game. If you flag it as static, it's meant to only sit in that position. It's not meant to be moved at runtime or anything. If you do try to move it, it's going to throw the system all out of whack, because static like that means that for the fixed engine and the physics engine in Unity, it means that it's flagged in the system to ignore any type of movement commands and stuff. It severely optimizes your geometry and stuff so that the physics engine just bypasses it. See, if I'm sitting there shooting a wall and shooting a wall and shooting a wall, if I don't have it flagged as static, the physics engine goes, hey, does this got a rigid body? Should I move it? Should I do this? Do that. Where if it's flagged with static, it just stops right there, right before it hits like the ground running. Okay? And that's kind of what a float, a constant is. It's a fixed point. It's not meant to be manipulated at runtime or anything like that. It just exists for the sole purpose of... Okay, actually, the best way for me to give you an example of this is basically like this. A coroutine. Then we slap a string in here. Well, guess what? This is hard-coded in. But it's inside of a function, right? Well, think of it like this. This is hard-coded in. You can't change it and all that. And it kind of sucks, right? Well, basically, that's what this is. Hard-coded. Right there. Done. Bam. Okay? Always going to be there. Can't change it. Well, yeah, it's not meant to be changed. And if you're not sure about what a constant is, type in C# and do constant float or constant int. And MSDN will tell you what a constant is. Okay. Float timer. Well, this is a regular float that we're using for timers. This does move. Okay. And what this is basically, hey, it's just a variable. Okay, let's just call it at that. This is just a list of strings and our asset bundle, same as our building thing, which, you know, I mean, honestly, you probably don't want me to sit here and tell you what a list of strings is. So we'll move on. Our asset bundle, we are incorporating in, which I eliminate in the next iteration. So the only time it's going to be used in this kind of kit is in this version. So if you want asset bundles in your game, this is the video for you. This will explain it. Now we have a constant variable, a static research button, current research. This is the variable when we hit the button, it fills this in. Okay? That's all it does. In the start, we get our static reference, okay, which is up at top. Just a reference so we can do a singleton pattern or whatnot, okay, because only one should exist and all that good stuff. We do close panel, okay, because in order to fill the static in and everything else, this needs to run in the first frame. Like when you first open the game and you open the level, this needs to go, hey, run my start menu, fill this information in, but close the panel, okay? Then in the background, when we're not paying attention, it loads our asset bundle, okay? All right, now let's not do our update. Do work, no, done. Okay, asset bundle, hey, if researching asset contains able is false, then blah blah blah. We do this. I mean, it's basic stuff. This one is for loading from the asset bundle. We go asset bundle, load asset, and we give it a string because you're working with out of an asset bundle, instantiating out of a bundle. You have to cast it to a game object. Okay, tell it it's a game object, and it has to be a game object. If you throw it into the bundle and everything, and it's not an asset bundle, and it's not a game object, okay, when you throw it in the bundle, then when you try to instantiate it, and it's not, you know, like you type some stupid thing in here like a transform, you know, or better yet, a trail renderer, okay, it's going to give you issues because this is not blah, blah, blah. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a game object. Okay? So, when you throw it in the bundle, which is very easy, if you don't know how, please watch the previous video because it explains all that stuff. Okay? Now, we have another game object, and make sure that you don't like mix up. Okay, if you do a game object like this and load it, put it into a name for a variable, this isn't going to cause you to throw out tons of memory or anything, okay? You load it in, okay? This is where it's like, okay, let me get a glass of water. Well, I got the glass right here, right? Now this is the water. We're filling it up with water. And then by the time we get down here to instantiate this variable, well, guess what? We want to instantiate a glass of water that's full, right? In this dot research panel. Okay? And all this does is instantiate and parent it to the research panel, which is filled out by our variable up here. Okay, where is that variable again? Oh, right here, highlighted like fool. Okay, so that's that, and that's all that does. But we have an if statement, okay? Because here's the thing. We don't want to keep instantiating the same button, right? Because we're using it through a string. So if I go, hey, I want a supersized glass, right? I want like Nike Airhawks. Well, I don't want 2 Nike Airhawks. I only want 1, right? And once I add this to the string, it will never give out a pair of Nikes again, right? There you go. So that's how that works. I mean, I don't know how else to explain. Now, current researching, if it's not null, which is our variable for research button, so we filled it out. If it's not null, it starts the timer, okay? And then if it's less than 0, which is down here, then it does this stuff, okay? So if it's greater than 0, it's going to start doing this. If it's less, it'll do the else statement, which is timer equals base time. Remember that base time, that constant? There you go. Now we could just like fill in 5F right here, and it would do the same thing. But the thing about it is, I didn't want this right here because of one specific reason. Let's say I wanted to know this variable across the board in another script. Well, first I would put a public right here, right? Now, when I go to another script, let's say another script like this, I can go in here and go research dot base time without instantiating the script first. Okay, let's give an example of that so you guys know what I'm talking about and you don't think that I'm a complete liar or whatnot. Let's go into, let's say, base object. Okay, that's a script that you want to see base object. Boom. It's really nothing. No update. Okay. So we have a variable up here, and we're going to go public. Let's do float TT time. Okay, which it starts off at 0, right? Who cares, right? Well, in the function, all I gotta do is go TT time equals research dot base time. Boom, done. Because this is a constant, I don't have to instantiate the research class. It goes right up, goes into the information, grabs it right out. Now, let's give it another example. Okay, we have our timer right here. Well, let's make this public. Okay, public. Now, watch this. In the next frame, or whatever you want, TT equals research dot, and it's not available. It's not available. And I'll prove it. And you probably can't see the layered thing. Okay, let's do this one. Alright. This will be better. See how base time is available because it's a constant, but there's nothing else. I mean, there really isn't. I have to go through a singleton in order to do it, which means the actual script has to exist first, which isn't a problem for us. But what if you're in another level where you don't have research available, but you want to know the timer, right? That's where constants publicly accessible come into play. I don't have to instantiate a class. Now, you might be like, well, what do you mean by that? what I mean by this is research T equals new research. Okay, that's instantiating more memory. Okay, now I can go into go TT time equals T dot. Now I have add assets. I got all the normal variables that are accessible, even my constant. But the problem with it is I had to instantiate something at runtime, and you see the timer is now accessible. Okay? This instantiates new memory, which makes it where we have to freaking, have the garbage collector pick up this object because of that. That kind of sucks, right? I mean, it may not, but which would you rather have? Especially on something that doesn't move, right? This doesn't move. We don't care. We just want to know the base time. This I like better than doing something like this. Okay, I just wanted to bring that out to you because there is moments where constants are more, let's say, beneficial. Okay, because let's say this. Okay, if we didn't have this and everything, this can be manipulated at run. I don't want this, okay? But this one I'm caring about. Now, maybe you're doing something that you want to know every 60 frames, 60 loops. You want it to go, hey, update my list of players for kills, right? Well, you could do this in here, and then in your update method, hey, if it's above 60, it's above 60, right? Then put the timer down or some other function. And up here, you go, hey, just as an example, timer plus plus. Okay, so every single frame it's going to go higher until it reaches this point, and then you go timer equals 0. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? But now, guess what? We need to know what the base time is for our research across some other class. Making this better. And this will never return null. If you write this in this script right here, this will never return null. So you don't have to do null checks or nothing like that. If it's static, that variable has to exist and be instantiated. This, I don't have to instantiate it. It's already written in the memory. It's constantly perfectly there. It's like vector3.0 equals 0, 0, 0, right? Well, that's probably written in a constant form underneath a transform class. Hey, I give you transform, you give me vector3.0. And boom, done. So let's go on beyond that because that's just too long of explanation. Now this one is a public static function, okay? And we give it a research button because I want the research button that this has, that I'm calling it from another script, to null it. Okay, if it's null, then do this and return. Else, current work does not equal work, blah. Okay, so basically, if I'm on a different button and I click, it will, whatever one I pass into will be my current one. If there's nothing, then we save. Okay? And this is a public static function. It has to be written exactly like this as well, where it won't work correctly. And this means that it's made for specifically one. Current research right here is what it needs to be. Okay? If you're trying to research more than one object at a time, this code will not work. But if you're only doing one, then this code will work fine. Okay. Let's put this in this view. All right. Now, our public static work done, we pass it the button, and it just nulls it out. Okay. And we do this function is because what if we don't want null problems happening? Because if it's null, then it probably shouldn't do anything, right? If it's not null, it'll never run these functions inside here. Okay? We've got it in this big, huge if statement right here. So we have a regular function, public, that we instantiate buttons through, which we've already went through. Okay, and the enumeration is nothing different than the one in the build, except it goes to an asset bundle that's researcher. So nothing new there. Oh my gosh. We do an initial spawn after the bundle has been loaded. Okay, and these are the things we're instantiating. And panel close, oh, that's that enum that's useless, doesn't really do anything, it's cosmetic. So is this one. I actually don't even have this in the next enumeration. Panel close is an override method where it goes research panel dot game object dot set active equals false. This closes our research panel but does not disable this script right here, the research script. Okay, and we've already done that, and that's pretty simple. These are just initial variables so we can instantiate something at the beginning of the game. And this is to close a panel. Well, you need a function probably to open it, which is just the reverse. But I named it panel open child node, just for that. Okay, now we have a public static research get research. Because my variable up here is not public, we need a get thingy. Okay, we need a getter through a function, a return type, and that's all that's for. Very simple, very easy. Now for my favorite part. We need research buttons, right? Because we haven't went over that yet. And this is something that I've went through and iterated over again because what we have right now kind of sucks. And I didn't like it, so I changed it. Okay? Now, all these namespaces, you probably need them all. Well, actually, you probably don't need them. Not a lot of them. These and this, nope. And yeah, okay. So you don't need them. But you do need event systems because you need these eye pointer click, enter, and this. Okay? Now, if you like, these are interfaces, okay? They're not inheritance like mono behavior. But if you type these right here and then right click, it will say integrate interface. You just click it. It'll put the functions that you need in here, okay? I can't remember another one. But you just right click and you can integrate the functions from the interface. It's quite easy if you're in Virtual Studio, which you probably are if you're in this version of Unity anyway. Now we have a serializable field, which is points. We have a public string, an amount, and research object. We're calling this research in every frame. Do work, okay, and then remember, wait, yeah, this float right here, that's where we're calling it, okay, in our update every single frame. Not that big of a deal. If points is less than amount, then we just add and we return. Very simple, but you got to make sure this returns here so that it will exit out once it hits this line. If you don't have it here, it'll just go work done, and we are passing it the button, remember, work done, and then this tight case, which is quite simple. But remember, you got to have this here so it'll return early and set up your if statements accordingly. Okay? Very simple. Okay, and work done, we already went over that. This type case, oh, because of points being, privately and everything, the serializable field right here is only there to make it visual in the inspector. You don't actually have to have this here, but if you want to see it in the inspector, then there you go. Okay, and we've got a couple functions here. Get name, which is just, getters, return types. This type case, we don't actually even use that, really? Oh, because it's been being overwritten in the other things. Okay, yeah. Now, these are the functions that you need for the interface, okay? iPointer click takes pointer event data. Don't manipulate any of this line right here, okay? Do not manipulate any of this line right here and try to add other variables in there because it won't work. It'll mess it all up. It'll go all south on you, and you'll be like, what the crap, right? And it just does research do work equals this. Now, the do work function is for passing this into the game, the research thing. See, it sets the variable so it'll keep passing and updating, the current little it'll set this variable right here, and this is just a privately owned static because I don't want you to write directly straight to it. I want you to pass it to the script, and then the script does what it needs to do. And remember, this is being called up every single frame. This is the variable that's increasing your research. Okay. Hint: the reason why this is the only script on the research the research path that has an update, and the only reason that it's on its own game object and then the panel, the stuff that you actually see is below it, is because this always has to be active. Okay. I know, it's a lot, but don't worry, you'll get it, and I'm sure once you see what's going on, you'll be like, mess with it a little, and you'll be like, oh. And actually, let's go into Unity real quick, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Unity, please come to. Yes, you're a good boy. Now, okay. Research panel here. This is always on. Okay. Like I said, it's always on, and it's always good. Well, anyway, this is a mono behavior. If I disable this game object like we do everything else, this mono behavior doesn't run no more, which is bad for research Because that means we got to sit in research mode the whole time to get research, which would kind of make me mad as a player and as developing the game. It makes no freaking sense, right? So, oh, I got to delete that information too. But anyway, like I said, watch this timer right here, okay? I'm going into here, and we're going into research mode. Well, it's no. Crap. Why is that no? Oh, it's because this is not on. It's that error that I was talking about. See? The static reference for stuff. Now, if I leave it on and just let it disable and do its logic in the start, I have no problem. This warning is not over something else. It's the FPS stuff, which don't really need. It just shows you the frames. And two, little hint, this thing will report 60 frames, but internally it's doing more. And if you call dime.delta time for stuff, it can fluctuate a lot and really suck. Trust me, I figured that out when I was doing my dealing with timers and stuff for power management. It really sucks. I didn't use time.delta time. I figured time.fixed delta time is better, and it actually works a lot better. But hint, don't. That's far above, far beyond this tutorial. Now, see how this is still active? Okay, and then you see the timer. Okay, we need something in the queue. This is moving now. Okay, well, when it's null, it won't move. See, it goes back to 5. Okay, because we've got stuff. But if I disable this script, I don't get anything. Okay, but let's go into, let's put this in the queue. This is moving. This stops now. And let's say we was in build mode, right? Well, with this timer being, this game object being disabled, the timer doesn't move anymore. And then, guess what? Research is completely useless because, you know, it's not running. That's one reason, the reason why we have a panel and all the good stuff that we see in a child object. Where if our parent object right here is disabled, it messes it up. It doesn't run. It sucks, right? So we leave that on and just leave our panel, you know, kids, you know, with all the visual stuff, do like the visual junk, right? That we don't need. And that's how that works. Okay? And we have buy stuff, or we can buy lead bullets and stuff. I don't got, oh, that kind of makes me depressed. We don't got the full thingy here. We'll get to that iteration. But there is the research thing. That's pretty much it for the research. I mean, there's nothing else I can really show you. We did the button. We talked about reason why it's always active and why we have a game object below the thing that's disabled. And I think that's pretty much it for that, actually. Yeah, I think it actually is. Huh. And it did go pretty long. Well, sorry guys, but it's been about 40 minutes, and well, like I said, I know you guys don't like it when the video goes really, really long. And I probably talked a little too fast sometimes, which, you know, I mean, I got ADHD. I'm sorry. I'm a little quick sometimes. But in any case, I do believe that covers all the topics for research. And the other topics that we didn't cover are in the other video, which is pretty much the same thing. So, like this video, you know, subscribe, and keep on coding and stuff, because, you know, you're going to get that. And, you know, hit the like button, and this is Wardon over and out. And thanks for watching. Peace.